On this 10th anniversary of the dedication of our memorial to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
democracy,
we thank the Creator,
justice, hope, and love. Those are the 4 tenets that are central to Dr. King's vision. These tenets function as a reminder of what we aspire to become.
Whatever your age, is dedicated to a man whose voice we can still hear.
So let's go forth from this sacred place, tumbled in turmoil with hope and promise of a nation always seeking, always thriving, always keeping the faith.
When I look up at that face, I get a sense of peace. I get a sense of gratitude, and it just does my soul good.
In fact, you can almost refer to America as before King and after King. And so it's very appropriate for him to be here. It has been long overdue.
It says a lot that we would create a memorial that I hope inspires people to work to make our nation a better nation, to actually make it become the nation that it ought to be, because that's what my father dedicated his life to.
We will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
Funding for the Stone of Hope, Moving the Dream Forward, provided by the Wells Fargo Foundation, because we believe the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial helps build a more inclusive and sustainable future for all. And the Centene Charitable Foundation, because honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy is America at its best.
Hey Chris, do you know how long the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial has been there?
10 years.
10 years.
Wow. So Nicholas, if Martin Luther King came back today, let's just say he had that ability, what would you think he would be the happiest about?
I think he'd be happy about how America isn't as segregated as it was when he was alive.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of connections to the MLK Memorial, and certainly we were there for, when it was dedicated and have visited a number of times, but to the extent that we think about the way our children interact with it, we sort of remind them, my grandfather, their great-grandfather, was a Tuskegee Airman who helped integrate the military, and happens to be an Alpha Phi Alpha who helped to raise money for the memorial itself as well. My father was at the march in 1963 and certainly has shared those stories with us. And when we think about not just them, but our grandmothers, our mothers, and the folks in our lives who, through the work that they've done, the education they got, the way they raised us, really have tied us to Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, and we feel that very acutely in the family and love the opportunity to share that with our kids. All of the memorials and monuments that are on the mall are about remembering critical times, critical people, critical moments in this nation's history where we had the opportunity to go in lots of different directions and really have advanced. And that to us is important, not just obviously for our kids and our family, but for the whole nation and visitors from all over the world to remember that individually we have a voice, we can all serve, and we can all find ways to advance the beloved community that Dr. King fought so long for.
But I think having the memorial gives them a real life figure to kind of focus on. Having all this information in the same place really is a great teaching opportunity for any parent, but definitely for parents of Black children in challenging times.
Piper's turn.
It was a long one too.
It is.
We are determined here in Montgomery to work and fight until justice runs down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Alabama, 1955.
Just 10 years old, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in Washington, D.C. is the 5th most visited memorial on the National Mall, averaging over 3 million visitors a year. They come from across the country and around the globe to pay tribute to the Stone of Hope and the dream it represents.